Good morning.
My heart is a blue,
We're still waiting for things.
shoots up through the stony ground. There's no room,
All of my Iron Man and
there's space to
or
go
anyone
in
who's been
this
to
town. We're out of luck.
on Facebook.
The reason that you had to care,
No,
the traffic is stuck.
what this song is. Obviously, it's a YouTube song, but it's always played. If you can hear this,
to take you out of this.
you can always hear that song. YouTube, you too. It's a beautiful day. Playing at the very start. Okay. We're having some issues here with the Facebook. Go figure. Probably because Facebook sucks. There we go. Now it's working. Public. All right. Sure that works. We're live there. All right. Good morning. So yeah, I was playing U2, It's a Beautiful Day, because I believe, oh look, it's another sunny day out here in central New York. Good morning, happy Monday, what a weekend. I think that's a really good way to start. Thank you to all of the protesters who were peaceful. I think that, good morning, Matt. I think that from everything that I was told, Syracuse, the big protest on Saturday in Syracuse went well. You know, I haven't been able to see, I didn't see anything that was, you know, a ton of looting or rioting or any of that stuff. So thank you. I think that the message is definitely really starting to resonate with the powers that be. Not only that Black Lives Matter, but that racism in general needs to be addressed immediately. And I think even equally as important, or, you know, very close to that, I don't know how you can rank them, but I think that also what is very important is, you know, police brutality truly needs to be addressed. I've spoken to a few of my friends who are in law enforcement, and I said, even I feel that sometimes I see, or I've heard, you know, of police officers who, I don't know the right way to put it, but like maybe misuse or abuse their ability to wear a badge. And I really, you know, and like, you know, like I was talking to one of my friends about it, is you get to wear that badge and you get the opportunity to serve the community. And that's, I think, something that unfortunately, some of the police force has maybe, you know, has lost. And I think that, again, things like you know, these peaceful protests can recenter that focus. So, you know, again, I'm all for the freedom. I'm all for, you know, freedom of speech, all that stuff. So I think that, you know, we're experiencing a huge revolution, a huge change. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's very important. I don't typically get and, you know, speak openly about a lot of this stuff, just because I'm pretty private with a lot of that. So, but I do think that it's very important, and I think it's much needed. And thank you to all of the CrossFit, ex-CrossFit community, because I do think that there needs to be a zero tolerance for ignorant statements such as what Greg Glassman, the CEO of what was CrossFit, tweeted. And, you know, I know that, you know, locally, CrossFit Syracuse immediately responded with rebranding, as well as I think I saw on their Instagram about 6 other CrossFits already dumping the CrossFit portion of their name, their community. And again, it's no, there's no excuse, there's no reason. I always think that at the end of the day, everybody is here. Like Matt and I were actually talking about it, and I think we were talking about it. I was talking to myself about it. I don't know, but we are all here. Every single human being on this earth has an important role. You may not know what your role is at the moment, but you have an important role to your community, to this world. And I think that it's not up to anybody else to determine when that role starts and when that role, more importantly, ends. And everybody bleeds red. So, and everybody is 100% equal. Nobody is better than anybody else, whether it's money, whether it's, color of their skin, sexual orientation, gender, any of that stuff. It doesn't matter. We're all literally human beings. So treat everybody as if they are your best friend. And I think you would be shocked at how happy you end up. I try to do that on a daily basis. I treat everybody as if, your family, as if you're friends. And I think I have a pretty good network of people. And I know that I can reach out to 99.9% of the people that I associate with if I need something. And they would know that they can do the same. And that's what I think we need to get back to, is there is no separation. You're not better than anybody else. Everybody's equal. So, that's the only thing I'm going to say about all of the stuff going on right now about Black Lives Matter, about the racism, about police brutality, because I think that and again, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I think that there's a lot of information out on the social media. And I urge you, when you look at it, to don't become sympathetic. Don't, in the sense of like getting tensed up. Take a moment, take a breath, and make sure whatever you're about to share, make sure that it's true, because both sides are going to have sound bites and tidbits from this professional and that professional and this person and that person about what's true, what's not true. So just read something, take a step back, and be like, all right, before I share this, I want to verify this, because social media, I think, has actually turned from what started as a way to reconnect with your community to there's a lot of people out there that will use social media to drive agendas. And there's nothing worse than, and I've done it, is you share something and then you find out a couple hours later that it was complete bullshit that you were sharing. So, just take an extra second or two and make sure that what you're about to share is actual, like, legitimate information. Because then that can add constructively to the conversation. Good morning, Joe. So, all right, today I wanted to talk about yep, it's Monday. I got a case of the Mondays. There we go. My phone closed and I had it and then I lost it. So today I just wanted, I was thinking about it this weekend, and we haven't talked about food and fitness in a while. We kind of got away from some of that stuff, and that's fine, because the world takes precedent sometimes. But this week I want to spend the entire week talking about some different ways that you can really, especially now that we're, I don't know what phase we're in. We're in phase 2/5. It's a crazy time. We can do weird stuff, but we can't do what we want to do. I don't know. So whatever phase we're in today, but we're starting to open up. traffic patterns outside of my office are basically back to normal, which tells me that even if people aren't going to work, they're not staying home. So it's time that we can now say, you know what, I'm sick of my quarantine bod. It's time to get my body back, or it's time to get my life back. Or maybe you're looking at it and you're saying, you know what, I want to start. And what better way to start than, by taking that first step? And typically we're taking that first step and we don't know what the hell we're doing. I will be the first one to tell you, when I first started, I didn't have a clue. And that's really what today is. Today is going to be, I'm going to share with you guys this week, and we're going to take it back to the fitness and nutrition side of things, is, my journey. When I first started, I was building houses for Jack Pennoyer at the time. So I was working for Pennoyer Builders. And I was like, you know what? I'm sick of every day at 10 o'clock, one of us was running down. We were building a big old house in Chaos. One of us would run down to Nice and Easy in Manlius, grab coffee for the 5 of us and a dozen donuts. And then we'd go back. And then, we'd take 30 minutes and have coffee and donuts. And I mean, you'd crush 2-3 donuts in, your cup of coffee. And I was drinking a couple creams, couple sugars, because coffee tasted like shit. And, having a couple donuts. And then we'd sit down at lunchtime and you'd crush a sandwich with a bag of chips with a Gatorade, because you needed Gatorade to rehydrate, because it was good for you. And, I was 200 probably 230 at that point. It was right before we got married. So yeah, it was about 235. And, I was strong. And that's why I was so big, was in my head. I was like, yeah, I'm strong. So I started working with kids that winter at the Fabius Baseball Academy and then over the summer, I was playing summer ball, and that's when Kermit Breed, an old friend of mine that I grew up with, was sitting with my cousin Josh, and I came over in between. It was the first time I'd played since college, and I was pitching in relief in this summer ball league that we had. And Kermit's like, man, watching you is like watching David Wells. And I still have photos. I'll have to figure out where the hell they are, but I've got some pictures that Beth had taken. And at first I was just like, oh yeah, I love David Wells. He was one of my role models. And so at first I was like, awesome. Like, I look like David Wells out there, I'm lefty, got tons of movement on my curveball, fastball moves real well. My changeup's coming back. Like, I felt real good. My fingers would go numb after about 20 pitches, but other than that, I felt real good. And I was just a fat slob. And, and then I was like, I want to be better at working with these kids. So how do I become a personal trainer? Because that's doing some quick Google researching. I was like, that's what I need to do. I don't have an education. I hadn't finished college. At that point, I had dropped out of college because I realized I'd made a lot of money at the time doing construction work. So I was like, I'm going to take some time off from school, because I hated Albany, only because the baseball coaches that I went there for got fired before I went there, and it's just crazy. So, and I really didn't like the baseball coach that was there. And, and I learned how to party even more than I did in high school. So there was that end of it too. So started with the person, started like looking into personal training. And I was like, one of the first things that I noticed was all of these videos I was watching that were demonstrating the movements, like the guy's doing a plank, he's doing it with his shirt off and he's shredded with a 6-pack. And I'm like, to me, that makes sense, because if I'm, and again, this is 2006, 2007, somewhere around there. If I'm a personal trainer, I want to look the role. If I'm, no matter what you're doing, you want to you know, especially in that area where, you know, I'm selling an intangible product, you know, which is health. You can't, like, this is a stapler. You can go to Staples, you can buy a stapler. I can tell you that this is the greatest stapler because it uses less pounds per inch to be able to close the staple. But to tell you, you know, I know exactly what you need to do to become the healthiest version of you, as I'm sitting back at 235 pounds, you're going to be like, really? So you can, and I might be the smartest man in the world, but it's a lot harder to buy in when the person selling it to you is like one Cheetos away from a heart attack. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna become a personal trainer. And that, you know, so I was like, all right, so I got to start running because, you know, everybody should run. And I hated running. I hated running in high school. Used to bitch that I had to run, you know, 4 miles for baseball with one of my math teachers because, you know, pitchers need to be able to have endurance. I bet Coach May was wishing he never put that on me because now I can't stop running. So I blame him. I blame Coach May for all of my running. So, so there we go. I started like reading this. My NASM textbook, National Academy of Sports Medicine textbook, was like 700 pages. I was like, you know what? I'm doing this. I'm jumping right in. Every day I'd get home from work, I was like, I'm reading one chapter a night, and then I'm going to write all of the notes down from that chapter that I think are relevant. So after the first week, 7 chapters in, like I'm crushing it. And I'm realizing like, wow, I really have no idea what I'm doing. So I continue working on that, you know, on the side, still working my regular job. And my workout routine, just to give you some idea, was my parents' road from their house to the stop sign is 0.3 miles. And I would just run that and then run down to the other end, which is about half a mile, 3/4 of a mile. And my goal was to be able to run around the block because I had driven that, and that was 3.5 miles. And I was like, that's when I know I'm going somewhere, is that I'm, you know, every time I'd go a little bit further and then turn around, come back, a little bit further and then turn around, come back. So, and then eventually I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So, and that was how my journey began. So like I said, I'm going to make this is going to be kind of a longer progression, but that was the beginning stages. I didn't have a clue as to what I was doing. How fast was I running? I don't know. What was my heart rate? I don't know. I didn't have any of those metrics. I was just like, you know what? I need to be outside. I need to be doing something. I didn't have a gym membership. I didn't have any gym equipment. I was just like, I'm going to start moving because I had read, you know, if you know, when working out, you're burning calories, and, you know, your calories, if, you know, the longer you work out, the more calories you burn. I hadn't even started paying attention to the food side at this point. I was just like, I need to do something. So fast forward, and then when we moved down to DC, that's when Beth and I got real serious because I 100% stopped drinking when we moved to Northern Virginia because we didn't know anybody down there. So I didn't have anybody, like, because we'd have friends over on the weekend and stuff. So, and I had more free time. I had started working at a gym, but I was working split shifts. So you'd work from, you know, 6 to 10 in the morning, 4 to 8 at night or something. And at first I started working just part-time. So I was only working 4 hours a day. So I would take the dogs for a walk in the morning, and then I would go, we had this canal trail, and I would run, and every day I would go, you know, I'm going to run to that tree and just a little bit further, not good morning, Mom, not much further, you know. And when we went to DC, I didn't come home. I want to say it was like 3 months, 3.5 months. And every day I would just go a little bit further, and then I found a park. So I was like, oh, I'm going to run to this side of the park. And then I ran across the park, and then I ran a little bit further. Again, still not having any metrics to measure. I don't know how far I was going, you know, but that to me was That was the beginning. And then I added to that so it was like, all right, there was one layer. So I just kind of built it layer upon layer. And that's not necessarily a bad way to do things. A lot of times we jump into something and we jump in so far that it's overwhelming, right? So I could have gotten 7 different cookbooks and been like, okay, I'm going to be a paleo vegan that does intermittent fasting and eats only a whole foods raw diet. That's possible. And who does CrossFit, yoga, sauna, and cryo every day. Well, that's going to be such a drastic change for your body and your mind and your schedule. You're going to fail at something. So this way, I wasn't failing. Every day I was succeeding. Okay, and this is where we're going to wrap up today. But every day I was making a little bit more progress. And that's what's most important is we don't have to have this complete light switch moment of I need to be 100% different tomorrow. It can start with I'm going to run to the end of the driveway, or I'm going to walk to the end of the driveway. Tomorrow I'm going to walk to my neighbor's mailbox and back. The day after that I'm going to walk 2 more to the next mailbox. And then next thing you know, you've set aside 45 minutes in the morning to be able to get your exercise in. So I'm going to talk more about this tomorrow because you will love, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't recommend my initial dieting practice, but it worked. It was probably the hardest 9 months of my life. Like looking back, I don't know how I ate what I ate, but I'll talk about what we incorporated for my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and the modalities that I use as far as tracking and such tomorrow. But so there we go. We have the groundwork. Ed didn't know anything about food, but Ed knew to move. We also had a gym, and a small gym in the apartment complex. And I'll tell you some of the the workouts that we had because I still have some of them that I use, which tells you how awesome they are. So again, this week is going to be kind of, because I know a lot of people are struggling. I've had a lot of people come in the last 2-ish weeks, and they almost feel like they failed, like they're deflated. And my thing is coming out of a quarantine. I don't know, we've never been in this before, but coming out of a quarantine, I view the same as being on a vacation. I don't expect improvement, but if we can minimize regression, then that can help us to put that foot forward to see that improvement faster and more effective. So I'm going to share some more of this stuff with you guys throughout the week. I hope you have a wonderful Monday, and I hope you have an awesome week. And again, Matt is probably sick and tired of the song It's a Beautiful Day by U2, because when we were riding together on Friday, I just kept whistling it. And as he said, we're riding up a fucking hill and you're whistling Dixie. So it's a beautiful day. I think every day is a beautiful day because we are all able to wake up, put our feet on the ground, or get our asses out of bed or open our eyes. And if you are able to do any of that stuff, you can make an improvement upon your world, even if it's just a teeny tiny little bit, because all those teeny tiny little bits add up. So I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. I will see all of you tomorrow. Actually, I won't see any of you, but you will all see me tomorrow. So, all right, that's it for today. I hope you guys have a great day, and we'll chat tomorrow. See ya.